Serious, Redditors with a mental illness, how would you describe your mental illness to someone who has never experienced it before? Depression. It's not like I want to die, but I much prefer to have never existed. I read this somewhere on Reddit one day and it really stuck with me. I don't want to commit suicide because I am depressed. I am not. Life is beautiful and it's a privilege to be allowed to experience it. However, I am exhausted, and I would like to go back to where I came from. I feel like it is my right as a human being to make this decision. Imagine that everything you do requires a certain amount of energy just to get the motivation to do it. When you're finished with the task, you get a reward of pleasure in the brain for a job well done. With depression, the amount of energy is tripled and the reward of completing the task is reduced by a third. After a while, it just doesn't seem to be worth doing anything because the stress of doing the task and the reward of completing it just leaves you more in debt. This debt is depression. Yep. For me, it's never helpful rewarding at all to check off my list of to-dos or see a clean room. My depression neutralizes all reward feelings, so it doesn't matter to me if I get things done or not. That becomes dangerous after a while. Try to remember the worst thing that ever happened to you. What was your physical reaction to it? Crying silently in terror? Heart pounding out of your chest? White hot murderous rage? Now, uncontrollably these feelings return to you unexpectedly without just cause. Maybe your friend discredited you, your boss was unfair, or someone in traffic flipped you off. Other people don't get their whole day ruined by small stuff, but you relive intense emotions and you become physically sick at the same time. It can take hours or a whole day to recover. PTSD. Absolute panic over the thought of not getting something done, but having absolutely no motivation to get the thing done. Feeling like you don't have enough energy to do anything but stay in bed all day, but knowing that if you do you'll only think of all the things you should be doing with your time. Only getting through the day because of fear-driven adrenaline. I also have mild OCD. It's not organizational or anything. It's stopping in the middle of the hallway because you have to touch the floor right there, but then a few steps later bending down again to touch it with the other hand. If you spin around one way, you better immediately spin around the other way or else go the rest of the day feeling off. Scratch your fingernail along something, run your nail in the opposite direction to reset it, turning lights on and off until you feel okay. It's really weird to try to describe. The reset part of OCD is constant for me. I've never been able to find a word for it, but reset is a really good one. It's like someone dug a well where my heart is and started filling it up with extreme versions of every emotion only to let it dry out over and over again. I'm bipolar and the hardest thing is not knowing where your symptoms start and where your personality ends. I love that last sentence there. So well put. The butterflies in your stomach feeling, not the good kind, is your normal. I describe it as that panicky moment you tap your pocket and find that you've lost your wallet, except it lasts most of the day, most days, and you never really know why. OCD. Imagine you are going about your daily routine and for no reason as you turn the lights off to exit a room a thought pops into your head. Flip the lights off and on 10 times or your dad's going to get in a car accident. So you think, okay, that makes zero sense at all. But what if? What if I don't do it and dad gets in a car accident? I am going to blame myself. Well, why don't I just do this? It's just 10 seconds to flip the lights on and back off 10 times, and then I don't have to worry. So you do it. But it's not just the lights. It's other things too. You go to the store and want to buy a drink, and the thought pops into your head, grab the third one back in the row. The others will make you sick. So that's more inconvenient, and you look retarded pulling 3 drinks out the fridge, but you do it, because, what if? People start getting mad at you, because you are doing stupid crap all the time, but most of the time you are doing it to save them. So when your friends like, you're so fucking weird for doing X thing, and you're thinking I am trying to save your life. Sometimes you ignore things because you're really mad at the person, but even doing that you think, this is kind of fricked up that I am just gonna let them die because they peed me off. But you still know how ridiculous it is to think they would die because you didn't end on a winning game of solitaire. Now these thoughts come up pretty often, and you are getting sick of it, so you start ignoring some. Mostly ones that have to do with yourself getting sick or harmed, because you feel that's the least risky. You go to make dinner. Thought pops into your head as you're pulling it out of the oven. Cook it 17 more minutes or you'll get sick. You say no, frick that. I am done. It's done. You pull it out and you start eating it. You think, this tastes a little weird, because now you are concentrating on that. In the back of your mind you can't stop thinking about how it tastes weird and your stomach feels a little off. So you stop eating it and throw it out. Now you're pretty convinced that you should just follow these stupid little thoughts, because they are easy, and you did feel like you were getting sick when you ignored one. Anxiety is like constantly hearing the boss music in a game but not being able to see the danger. I didn't come up with that, but it's the most accurate description I've ever come across. When the feeling of fear is unbearable but there is no real danger, my mind will race to find a rational explanation to my state. The sky is grey. There is going to be a violent storm. That's why you're so scared. You're in a class. There is going to be a school shooting, etc. My anxiety leads to severe phobias. Imagine being scared all of the time. Imagine not even knowing why you are scared most of the time. You just are. Then find out that this isn't normal and that not everybody feels this way. Imagine that when you tell people about it, a good half of them tell you to just stop being scared. Thanks, didn't think of that. ADHD. You're reading an article about bears and it's very interesting. It has all your attention until you read the word park ranger and then you start thinking of Yogi the bear and the adventures they had stealing picnics, and then you think I haven't gone to a picnic in a while, even though my ex and I kept saying we would go every weekend, and I wonder why picnic blankets are red and white. Wouldn't that just disguise the ants? Isn't it funny how ants walk in a straight line? I wonder if they know they're doing it. Kind of like that movie Ant or A Bug's Life. Which one was the one with the military style? I haven't been to the movies in a while. I wonder what's out. Let me check the phone. Oh, I have a Facebook notification. Yeah, studying without a Daryl as a mother. Depression. Nothing really matters. Why do that? Why do this? Why not just lay in the bed from Friday evening until Monday morning again? It's warm and comfortable and there aren't any problems or issues there. I need to this or that, but that can wait another week or two. I need to cut the grass, wash the car, buy groceries etc, but it can all wait. Phone's ringing. Someone's knocking on the door. Just got a text. Frick all of that. Just gonna lay here under the covers and ignore all of it. Go to work just to keep from being homeless. Laugh with co-workers and put on a smile to hide the truth. Work's over. Back home and into bed. Yep, that's my life right there. Depression. When you're looking at something, ever get that feeling that something is off but you can't quite put your finger on it? Now imagine waking up and feeling like everything is wrong, but not really having much of a reason for it. And now, on top of it, imagine that every single little bad thought you've had about yourself is true. You're useless. You'll never amount to anything. You're stupid. All your friends hate you. You're going to die alone because you don't deserve to be loved. The only person saying those things is your own brain, and you can try your hardest to tell yourself it's not true, but you believe all of it because those thoughts are overwhelming and they never stop. Some days are hard. You won't want to get out of bed even though it's a perfectly normal day and there's nothing that you've been dreading. Some days are okay, but you know it's not going to last. So end up spending every single minute wondering when the other shoe will drop, so you don't even get to enjoy it. I can relate very much so to this. The worst part about it is how self-aware you are and if still continues to go on. Imagine that your balls itch all the time, and if you scratch them, it gets better for a while, maybe even a long while, but then when they start to itch again, it's even worse. OCD is kinda like that. My anxiety is this bee who keeps telling me I'm dying, that everything is going wrong, that people are judging me and laughing at me, that my friends don't like me, that the food I'm about to eat isn't safe, that I should kill myself so people don't have to deal with me, that my thoughts are irrational, that I'm a burden. Some days the killing myself sounds like a good idea and that scares me. There's nothing wrong, but there might be something wrong. Yeah, there's something wrong, but there really isn't. Anxiety is a mind freak. Coupled with depersonalization, feeling like your head is about to explode along with feeling like you're in a dream is not the best. It's like you're wearing a backpack filled with invisible bricks and you don't know why it is so hard to get up and do the tasks others seem to manage easily. Then only after you begin taking antidepressants that work well do you realize everything was difficult because you were carrying around a freaking backpack full of bricks. Once the antidepressant starts working, you become aware of that weight and you take off the frickin' backpack. Massive change in self-esteem and perspective ensues. But then you realize that you're the backpack kid, and your identity, growth, and inspiration came from the backpack and have no idea how to walk without it. ADHD. You need to do 1000 urgent and important things like pay bills or take your car to the shop or do laundry since you didn't do them earlier because you were fighting another 1000 urgent things like making food because it's 10 PM and you still haven't eaten, or doing some work that you have to turn in tomorrow and didn't do earlier because you were doing another 1000 extremely important things like washing the shower curtain or putting shoe polish on 10 pairs of shoes you never wear, or writing to your grandmother because you haven't called in 2 months because you were busy freaking out about all of the things you need to do but haven't done, but also there's a constant tapping noise coming from somewhere and you can't get anything done because it's driving you crazy and you can't start working until the noise stops. Oh, and you didn't actually get any of those things done. You started to do them but then memorized 132 different species of insects and learned how to perform root canals by watching YouTube videos. Thank you. This is the best description and most accurate, for me anyways, that I have read. I got bees in my brain sometimes. ADHD problems. A highway of bees, all blasting different music from their cars, and trying to listen to all of it in the middle of an exam. Borderline personality disorder. It's really hard to explain, because I've lived with it for as long as I can remember and it's my normal. I don't know what it's like to feel anything besides what emotionally pulls down on me like bricks superglued to my fingertips. I'll start off by just simply saying, it's like I don't have any control over how I feel, or the way I perceive the people and their feelings around me. My episodes are rarely ever short. They last months. Sometimes, it creeps in on me and before I know it, I literally feel like a different person. The love I feel for a person starts to feel forced. I know it's not. I know how my brain is saying I feel isn't how I feel. But my emotions become a separate piece of me, and all of me, all at once. It's like my rational brain gives up the steering wheel and watches as my emotions wrap the entire car around a tree, and the whole time my rational brain is screaming and grabbing at whatever it can to gain that control again, but my emotional brain is tripping on shrooms and seeing everything in a drastically different light. Sometimes I'll look in the mirror and part of my brain says you're beautiful while the dominant part says you shouldn't be admitting that. Any shred of confidence I have is also a shred of confidence that my thoughts don't want to acknowledge, and I have no control over that. Fighting it drives me up a wall with anxiety. I break myself down even harder. It's like being my own abusive spouse. There are times when my mind likes to isolate me. I start picking up on body language and then I dissect it, often interpreting things, like my son not being as cuddly, as him losing interest. The problem is that it feels like a rational thought. In an episode, I genuinely feel like I'm perceiving things as they are. I can't distinguish what I'm seeing from the reality, because in my mind there's nothing to distinguish. But at the same time I know it's BS. I just emotionally can't separate myself from the thoughts. Things make me angry, but I'm not actually angry. It's like my brain is saying, oh, this thing sucks, or I'm mad but I feel meh. Oh well. But I feel more inclined to express being angry, because I feel like that's how I'm supposed to be. To put it as basically as possible, knowing and feeling are two different parts of my brain and I have no control over which one's running the show. Yes, that's exactly right. Not being able to trust what you feel or perceive because you've misfelt and misperceived so many times is awful. Feeling alone even when you're surrounded by people. Every few days. Day 1 I'm okay. Day 2 I'm feeling great. Day 3 I'm alone as frick and walling off people that want to be my friends with crappy excuses made up by me just because I'm scared of binding myself to someone. Because I cannot find the middle ground of being normal friends, and then getting broken by them. Everything you see, hear, and smell might not be real. You could ask someone to tell you, but even your mother is lying to you. They look at you like you're crazy because they want you to think you are. You start to wonder if you're Neo in the Matrix or a fallen angel sentenced to immortal life. It seems so ridiculous, but the evidence is mounting that there's something special about you. That's why they watch you from afar, waiting to see what you'll do. It's why you feel so disconnected from this world. You know it's not real. OCD. Imagine that you are taking a quiz in school. You have the most awesome friendly teacher. You are always so paranoid you'll write a stupid answer. So you do everything you can to study for tests. You might even start doing superstitious things like using the same brand of pencils, or wearing the same clothes, or eating the same food. Now after each quiz you think about all of your answers. You think they were stupid. You imagine that teacher you really like laughing about them, even thinking you shouldn't be in his class. You don't deserve it. So you start doing those things that you believed helped more and more. These are examples of both obsessions and compulsion. This can happen with anything for people with OCD, and there is OCD that only has obsessions. I have autism, same as that cross-eyed guy in the corner picking his nose and making weird sounds. But I'm on the opposite side of autism, so, as far as the government is concerned, I'm not retarded like he is. And because you look normal you won't get any help, even if you can't get a job and can't pay your meds and have no social life and develop depression. You're normal enough. So if you have any hardship related to your condition, that means you're lazy and not trying hard enough. Yay, Asperger's. I have pretty mild anxiety, but sometimes, if I have several stressful things happen in a row, I get into my bad days. Everything makes me anxious. Routine social interaction, minefield, easy school assignment, terrifying. Tiny insecurities in my relationship or my life can send me into a self-destructive spiral of interrogating my partner, or suffering in silence and crying myself to sleep. And the whole time you feel like electricity is running through your whole body. It's exhausting. Then the next day I get stomach pain so bad I can't function. Sometimes an Advil helps. Sometimes it barely takes the edge off. The next time I have time to relax, I lay down, and it all comes flooding back. It takes a few days to get normal again. And mind you, my case is a freaking breeze compared to most. I like that you described it as electricity running throughout your body. I usually describe it as constantly being on a caffeine high, but electricity really helps describe the constant, nervous energy moving you forward. It's terrible. Oh dear, luckily I'm doing pretty well, so not all of these are active problems anymore, but if I were to explain them. Anorexia, imagine your brain got some wires crossed and weight loss became the solution to all of your problems. You become convinced that you will be happy when you are thin. All the exercise and dieting might make you miserable, but all of that will be solved once you hit that magical goal weight. And don't you want to be happy? In that case you just need to make sure you don't eat, because something magical will happen when you reach that goal weight, except it doesn't. But then it's probably because you need to lose a little bit more. Bulimia. You know that I fricked up feeling that shows up when you realize you forgot that you had a test today or accidentally broke something that isn't yours? That feeling shows up after eating and there is a way to fix it. Asperger's. Basically, everyone got the walkthrough to human interaction, the game, and you didn't. Everyone just magically knows stuff that you don't. And once you finally learn about how it works you realize that your character has some really worthless perks and unfair debuffs. Like who decided that investing 12 points in sorting things was a good choice while leaving your mental endurance so low that even a change in environment makes your character fatigued? Imagine the act of attempting to make small talk being excruciating. Depression is like looking out of a dirty window on a foggy day. I remember the last time my meds started working while I realized birds were chirping outside. Then I could see that they'd always been chirping but I couldn't hear them before. That reminds me of your window analogy. You've been spotted by the curious cow. Comment below and let him know what you're doing. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.